This is assembly of the Dixie flower. It's really pretty. You could use it as a daisy. You could also use it as a sunflower. If you wanted to do, you know, the yellow with the brown center. It's a really nice big full flower. These are mediums. Oh, these are larges. These are larges. So I want to show you how these are done. Very similar to the other flowers. You're going to receive your petals. The difference in this petal is this is a lot more narrow than some of the other bases and some of the other flowers. So you're going to need a lot more. That's why you have, I think there's 8, 7, 6 in the 3 centers. So the first thing we're going to do is start bending the leaves. What I like to do with the Dixie is I like to give it a little dimension by bending them both sides up. So kind of gives it a little more dimension than just bending it like that. So I'm going to bend, hope that makes sense. So I'm going to bend it from this side and from that side. And remember, the paper is very forgiving, so if you don't like that and you want to do it a different way, it's up to you. You can get a lot of different looks from one template just by the way you manipulate the way the paper is bent. Some I might want just one side bent. Start with the largest petal, and in most cases when you do the petals, you just want the largest ones are going to be just bent over just a little bit, because you don't want it to cup up. If you did want it to cup up, if you want a different style, you can make it go all the way, and then you get a very dimensional flower. For this one, I'm just going to do just a little bit because I want a whiter flower, not so much a higher flower. Just put a little dab of glue and just pull it over just a smidgen, not much at all. If you get a kit and your paper is attached to the bottom, just give it a little nudge and it will come undone. See, so I'm just doing a little bit. Since the petals are more narrow than maybe like the rose or the Paula, you're going to have to put them closer together. They're more side by side than actually nested together. I'll show that to you when we go through. And you're going to do the same thing. The next one you're going to go just, that's what I meant when they're stuck together, just a little bit more, because I want it to sit up just a little bit higher than this one. If you do too much, if you go over too much, just go back and cut the, if you glue it over and you don't like it, just go back and cut it and then re-glue it. You don't have to waste a petal just because you didn't like the way it felt, it folded over. So this flower has a lot more petals per layer. And this is the smallest petal, so I'm going to go over it just a little bit more because I want it to be more cut than this one. And this flower is available in a kit as well as a template in PDF and SVG. PDF is printable that you can print out, trace and cut your flowers. SVG are for cutting machines, Cricut, Silhouette. Okay. So I always get all my petals prepared beforehand. Then I can just put them together. So I'm going to put them very close and work all the way around. And I'll show you. In some of the other, here, I'm going to put glue and put it here, and I bring it down to about right where that point is right there. It's a nice way to keep all the petals, you know, you don't have one higher or lower. It's a nice judge. So in some cases, in some of the other petals, for dimension, I might go in a little bit further, but here I'm just going to go right next to it. Again, pulling it down so that this crease right here is right here at the bottom. If you have a kit, you'll receive this cardboard backing. If you've got a template, you will get a template to do the circle rounds in the different colors, different sizes. So here I'm going to go back and just eyeball it to see if I have enough room, which I do. And don't worry about something like this because the next layer is going to cover it up. So I measured to see if that's going to fit there. It is. I'm going to move it just a little bit. Give it a little bit more room. And all the way around we went. So we're going to start with the next layer, and I'm going to go in between these. I don't want to lay it on top. I want to lay it in between. And again, use this point as your guide. So anything like this is going to be covered with your next layer. Oops. Got ahead of myself there. So I'm going to measure. Perfect. that under there. I just slid it, instead of putting it on top like there, here, I put it underneath. No real reason, I just like, it just fit better. And you'll see the more you make these, the more you'll have your way of getting them to fit all together. Now we're going to do the smallest one. Smallest one. There you go. You can lay them around. Check to see. Just give an eyeball and say, okay, that, you know, it's going to fit fine. I can start again. I'm going to start right here in the middle. In between those two. And since this one is bent a little bit more or folded over a little bit more, it's going to stand up. But like I said, you could do that with all of the petals if you wanted a much more, a higher, if you wanted a higher dimension, if you didn't want. Don't be afraid to move the petals once they're down. See, because like right now, I need to move this over a little bit, just so that it fits. Two more. There you have it. Now the center for this, for a kit and for a template, is this star center. Well, it's kind of like just a multi-petaled center for lots of dimension. It might be a little tedious to cut out from PDF, but it will really look pretty in the middle of here. So I want this one to cup, so I'm going to use my hands and fold it. Glue, there we go. Fold it up. And this one I wanted to show you. See how it has a little tear right there? Don't worry about it. Just put a little glue. Tap it down. And you can fix it. So I'm going to nest them smallest to biggest. I want this to be nested a little bit more. The next size. Now what I like in this particular flower, with the largest, I like to keep it a little bit straighter. And just bend up the tips, because that's all you're going to see, because the other centers are nesting in it. Just kind of offset them so they're not one on top of another. And there you have it. That's the Dixie. Makes a great sunflower, makes a great daisy.